Greetings, fellow humans. I am Hugh.
And I am Man.
And together we are definitely not
Two
kobolds in a trench coat. We enjoy human activities, such as paying taxes,
Having existential crises,
and RPG horror stories. Let's see what we've got today.
Today, we have a DM who's a bit too determined to make the party love their NPC, and a party who decided the solution to every problem was to turn into a whale. But first, a word from our merciful and kind and wonderful ruler.
I am the mighty Leonidas, and I command you to do two things. First, subscribe to the channel and like this video. Second, rub my belly. It is not a trap, I promise.
DM is offended because player dumps their NPC by Reddit user SadSquire13. Our DM got invested in the backstory for a few NPCs, and one of them was flirting and swooning over a player's character. The character reciprocated the NPC's feelings for a short time, but over the months of the campaign, they drifted away, and the character ultimately ended the relationship. We thought everyone would just move over, but the DM keeps reintroducing the NPC and making it seem like the end of their romance is the end of the world. Creates a narrative in which they should reach out to the NPC and support them, even though the NPC is a young squire, and not like they needed our support. And it gets really awkward for all of us to interact and flirt with other NPCs, or each other's characters. This atmosphere is followed by passive-aggressive comments. For example, we moved on, but my character heard that they're a bad night for supporting the PC and not reaching out to the NPC, and general awkwardness ensues. But we still have stuff to do in the campaign.
The DM is a bit too attached to this NPC, almost like they are projecting something into the group. I think the NPC might be a metaphor for how unloved they might have been as a child.
I mean, that's pretty deep. At the very least, they got way too invested in their NPC and then just took it personally when they got dumped.
I get there might have been some build-up, obviously, with that relationship forming, but at the end of the day, it's down to the player characters to decide which NPCs they keep around and bond with. We all have our favourite NPCs. I created an NPC that I intended to kill, and my party just kept keeping them alive. They loved him despite me not wanting them to love him.
I believe you kept trying to kill him over and over again, did you not?
I made several attempts, to the point where they even kept his corpse and dragged his corpse with them back to the mainland because they couldn't resurrect him on the islands.
I feel like this DM kind of wished that that's what their players would have done in this situation.
Maybe he should have killed the NPC and seen if they resurrected him. Then see what they did.
That's just like ultimate emo, though. Like, see if you care if I die.
At the end of the day, the party decides what NPCs to love and what to not. And as a DM, you just have to accept that. My players keep turning into a sperm whale in my Ravenloft game. By Reddit user, Hitchhikers.
I'm sorry, they keep turning into a sperm whale?
Yep.
Collectively into one?
I've been running a homebrew Ravenloft game for a few years. Long duration mainly due to scheduling the greatest monster of all. And twice now my players have used polymorph to specifically turn into a sperm whale. The first time was while they were exploring the domain of the Sea of Sorrows. They had just crashed their borrowed ship on the rocky shores of a stormy isle while looking for a mansion containing the parts to a machine that would let them finally leave Ravenloft. They spent some time pondering how to sail across the uneasy waters, especially since I had foreshadowed the many monsters lurking beneath the waves. I was excited, waiting with my preparations. They were on the island of Domina, where a vampire with a doctorate has an asylum with various variations of his past selves. So I designed some puzzles and fights for it, with the plan of letting the players borrow the doctor's boat after venturing through. Then I would have the party fight off the roaming undead pirate crews using the expansive rules found at the back of GOS. These crews would have had beef between each other as well, so my incredibly charismatic party, containing 2 bards, a warlock and a CR blood hunter, could utilise their social skills to make the battle easier for them, and finally reach the island with the MacGuffin after these trials and tribulations.
Wow, that's a lot of amazing right there, like, not gonna lie. A vampire with a doctorate.
Hey, they can live for thousands of years. You know, they've got plenty of time to get an education.
It's more the asylum with versions of their past self in it, which is just wild. This is really good DMing. This is like peak DMing as far as like from a creative point of view, in my opinion.
The DM does seem very well prepared for this. They've got a lot planned out for what the party can encounter on their journey, a lot of different enemies and encounters. They thought about how the party can and should respond to these situations, but the story wouldn't be a story if they didn't respond like a bunch of cats trying to get out of a barrel full of water.
Exactly. It wouldn't be any fun otherwise. Also, just a quick shout out to like anybody that is thinking about DMing. What they described here as far as like, oh, I know that I have high charisma players, so I'm putting them in a situation where they can use that charisma because we have crew members that have beef with each other. That's really good use of slotting your players into your game, not just creating a situation being like, oh, have fun with it, but thinking about what your players actually have going for them and how you can best utilize it. That's really brilliant.
Well, anyways, the party turned the blood hunter into a sperm whale with polymorph and jumped into her mouth with a tiny hut spell to make it that much more comfortable. The party warlock, who didn't need to breathe by virtue of being a Dhampir, rode on the whale's back as if he was from a Dracula cowboy crossover so they could navigate with more precision. Well, with the asylum plot irrelevant now, the players set off swimming through the endless seas. Naturally, some cogs had been thrown in their way to make this interesting, so an ancient sea serpent soon came after them. The warlock saw as a dark shape swam under them in the endless black depths before noticing the party and re-emerging behind them. 2 gleaming red eyes locked on them. Realizing they couldn't outrun the dragon that was now catching up to them, the party changed their course upwards to avoid the creature. As they saw the creature's teeth and its massive maw open behind them, breath weapon ready, the warlock got an idea and cast Fly on the sperm whale.
Okay. So the DM goes through all the trouble of setting all of this up, and they're like, let's just turn into a whale and fly out of here.
I mean, they did try swimming first, and then they flew. They completely ignored all of the DM's hard planning, completely throwing however many hours of hard work out the window, and just bypassed it entirely, like all good D&D players should.
Exactly. Oh, you had a fun plot point? I'm going to do a game-breaking mechanic that you didn't even think of, like cast polymorph on a character and then make it fly.
So in a majestic leap, the party soared towards the skies, riding or in the mouth of a flying sperm whale as the monster thrashed frustrated below them. I was so flabbergasted at this point that I think I tried to strike them with lightning a couple of times, but honestly, when the players have turned one of their own into a sperm whale to travel in its mouth and ride on its back, and then make the whale fly as well, I think it's fair that they reach their goal. The pirates would have been quite confused anyways, seeing some vaguely vampiric figure riding and flying a whale, illuminated by the occasional lightning strike against the dark skies. So I wouldn't think that they would have the idea to shoot it down as their first thought.
They might have worshipped it as a god, though.
I mean, that sounds like an elder god for sure.
Right? Like, that could have... Missed opportunity, dude.
Yeah, start the whale cult.
The Dhampir wave cult.
Yep, they really missed the opportunity there.
The warlock could have been god.
Hey, if there's one thing D&D players love, other than murder hoboing, sabotaging DM's plans, flirting with NPCs, murdering, murder, and more murder, it's starting a cult.
It's true. It's the ultimate.
On the second occasion, the party was in Borca, stealing another part to get the F out of the Ravenloft machine from nobles in an underwater aquarium. They had practiced their diving skills, making their way down and teleporting within the aquarium using a cape of the mountebank and other such shenanigans. After a few rounds of the battle against the Narcanaloth and Eldritch in the Warlock Sense guards, they were ready to make their escape the same way they came in. The noble, however, had called upon an Eldritch abomination they had summoned with previous rituals. I think I described the creature as a mix of a biblically accurate angel and a dragon. A biblically accurate dragon, perhaps. The massive beast hovered in the waters, trying to understand the party's nature and why its summoner had asked for it to kill them. In that moment of calculation, the players already knew what to do.
Turn into a whale?
I mean, that would just be ridiculous, wouldn't it?
Ah, come on.
I mean, they surely not turn into a whale, not again.
Nah, that's old. That's yesterday. That's so last time they tried to escape. Surely they'll just go along and let the DM guide them gently, like all good players should.
They will just fight this monster like regular players. Yeah, I'm sure. The Blood Hunter was turned into a whale again, and the party started swimming upwards once more. Dun, dun, dun!
None of us were shocked, but I will say, I think the title's a little bit of a misnomer. I feel like they should have said they kept turning the Blood Hunter into a sperm whale.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed there was only one sperm whale at a time in this.
And that it was just the one player that was the sperm whale.
Yeah.
Oh well, guess we'll just have to figure out what happened.
While the guards were watching the events in disbelief, the Arcanaloth cast Air Bubble. I changed the spell selection a tad, and teleported into the water to give chase as well. Yeah, I also changed the teleport into a bonus action for further maneuvering. The party didn't think flying away from eldritch horrors and fiends as on in a whale was enough, so they cast Dispel Magic on the air bubble before casting Fly again to soar through yet another night sky. The biblically accurate dragon gave chase, however, so the party flew over the dark forest surrounding the lake. Stopped concentrating on the polymorph, transforming back, and feather fell into the forest below to hide. Using clever illusions and some better stealth rolls, they managed to make their escape, leaving me aghast again. This certainly is a party of all time. TLDR, my players have now twice escaped from horrific monsters and abominations as on in a flying sperm whale. A group of wonderful creatives they are.
Sounds like it. Honestly, this sounds like a really fun D&D group. I kind of want to be a part of it now.
Yeah, this is definitely creativity. I'm a tad disappointed that at no point they turned off Fly and let the sperm whale drop onto an enemy. That would have been very Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yes, that would have been very good. Well, I will say that these are all clearly, not expert players, but experienced players because they know how to use their spells creatively. This definitely says these guys have been playing D&D for a while, or most of them have. Maybe not the Blood Hunter, but the rest of them have.
I mean, the Blood Hunter at this point was basically just a whale. He was there just to be a whale.
He was there just to get polymorphed. I mean, you got to have the one. You know, you got to have the one guy got to make himself useful by getting turned into something and doing something weird.
And to be fair, the Blood Hunter was probably the least useful in terms of escape. Very useful in combat, but they probably needed the Warlock and the Bards to be casting spells just in case other things happened and maintaining the other spells that they had.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure what other party members they had, but given the fact that they had, 2 Bards and a Warlock, that says they got a little bit of a glass cannon sort of party, so they're probably more likely to want to flee and hide rather than stand and fight. But again, this is a really creative way of getting around combat when you're not 100% sure that you could survive said combat.
Yeah, a smart party always knows when to fight and when to get out, and is it entirely necessary, even the risk of fighting? And why do that when you can free willy your way out of there as a giant sperm whale?
Exactly. And here's the other thing. You don't have to fight in D&D. Like, you don't have to... I think there's this idea that, you always have to have a battle every session, or this is the fun of D&D. You don't have to do that. Sometimes you can have just as much fun trying to run away from the battle as you can doing battle, which clearly this party has figured out.
Hey man,
Hey, what?
why couldn't the Dragonborn barbarian enter a rage?
Why?
Because he had erectile dysfunction. And with that, we have definitely not been
Two kobolds in a trench coat.
Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and make the necessary sacrifices to Tiamat. We'll see you next time.